In this video, we're going to see how we can use other sample content. Also, we saw in the previous lesson how we can use the HDRP sample content from the Unity website, and we're going to see also how we can download and use other demos, other templates, other samples. But here we can see there are a lot of them in this package, and you'll find the also other effects of the materials and the volumetric effects, etc. So if we want to look for this, we can just look for Unity HDRP sample content. So this was an example we explored in the previous video, and this is for the materials. And we're going to go back on the materials later on in the course. This is just to use some templates and preview. So we finished the templates in the previous lesson, and we can open up other demos from that template. One of these is called the Fontainebleau demo, which is really interesting and outstanding, I think, in terms of visualization. I think it's really good. And it gives you different scenarios that you can both explore in play mode and also explore in the scene mode. So you can understand better how they're done, how you can achieve these results in a night scene, a day scene, and in the sunset, etc. etc. You can play this level, and I think it's a really good also for outdoor exterior rendering example. Now here you have, usually in the GitHub, you have the releases right here, so you can download the source code from the release page. But when it comes to running the demo, you cannot just go here, download the zip file and extract it and run it. It's going to be a little bit more complex, and I'm going to show you how you can do it. So also this is another scene right here. It's called HDRP ray tracing scene. And again, you can have a preview also of the files, of the source code and the files here directly without even downloading from GitHub. And you can see that everything is organized as and packaged as a project. And there you go, that's the release right there. And you have some screenshots also if you want to know the quality before you download it. And I think, in my opinion, this one here is not like excellent quality, but you can use it definitely to study and learn. And also this other one, it's a little bit more cartoonish and more video game. This is for VR, virtual reality with the visor. And usually the games created with the visor, they have a low graphic realism at the moment. So perhaps in the future they will get better and better, but at the moment they have like low poly and low quality materials. They need to keep the scene light. They cannot create heavy scenes. So I think that I'm gonna go for the Fontainebleau, which you can see now is downloaded. So if I am curious, I can open up the folder and I can see all the folders here and the files and everything else. And you can copy this, you can paste it in the project directory. You can use whatever it's inside those folders, and you can copy, you can paste anything in these folders. So what I'm gonna do here is show you the process to open up this scene, which goes through the GitHub desktop. You can read all the info at the bottom of the page of the Fontainebleau page in the GitHub platform. But essentially what we need is to download the desktop, GitHub desktop. So download it. It's a small app that will help you to run the files and like mount the repository files. So I'm gonna download it for Windows 64. Once it's downloaded, I'm just gonna double click and install it. It's gonna take a few minutes. It's not gonna be really heavy. So this is the app right here. You can see it's asking me to create a tutorial repository, to clone a repository from the internet, create a new repository in my local drive, and add an existing repository from local drive. So what we can do, the easiest thing we can do is just go here on the GitHub, click on the code, and here you have the clone panel. And to clone and to mount something, to run something, you can just copy this link. And or you can see also here, you can open the GitHub desktop from here and you can download the zip. But the quickest way is just to open up the GitHub desktop app, and then from here you're just gonna paste the link here, clone our repository from the internet and paste the link into this slot right here, and then clone. So this is gonna clone and create basically a version of this that can be run by you into your computer. So it's a little bit more complex. This just downloading and opening the scene. So we need to do this because this is a big file and it takes, well, it takes I think about half an hour or an hour, depending on your internet connection, of course. But well, let's wait for that to be downloaded, and when it's going to be ready, we're going to go back there. So in the meanwhile, let's check again the Unity manual. I use this a lot as a reference because here you can find all the information you need. So in the section here in the manual called packages and feature sets, there are packages that you need to install when you want to create a game or you want to create an application. But thankfully, we find the templates which already have a lot of these packages installed. And down here you have feature sets. Now I want to show you feature sets because in the feature sets, like here in the 2D feature sets, and then you have like 3D character animation and other section. But in the two feature sets, for example, if you go here, this is the packages that are being used, and here this is the asset store. So these are some samples. So look for samples always, because before you start creating something, you may want to have a good understanding of what you can do and what you can't, and how the scene will show up. So this one here is the last script, and it's a game in 2D. So you can see it's coming from the asset store. So there are many free things on the asset store. You can have a preview here, and you can just download it. I'm gonna click here, add to my assets. Now usually when you do this, you're gonna see in your asset page all the stuff that you're downloading from the asset store. So if I accept here, you can see now, well, it's still working. So let's wait a few seconds, and there you go. So now we have downloaded, so I can open it in Unity, or I can go into my assets. I'm gonna go into my assets right now because we're already opening another level, another scene actually, with more levels. And this is the area called My Assets. So everything I download from the asset store is gonna appear here. And you see you have Substance 3D for Unity to work with the materials in Unity. And we also created other videos about Substance and Unity. You can check it in the channel. You can see a lot of these are deprecated, meaning that with the new version, they're no longer usable, but probably they're going to be updated later on. But here you can see if I click open in Unity, it's going to open up Unity editor, and you can continue from here. And some are entire templates, entire games or applications. Some are just plugins or add-ons like the Substance 3D for Unity, and etc. etc. So this is a really important area. You can use categories, you can filter. So you have 2D add-ons or 2D scenes, and then yeah, you can filter and look at the templates, and you can check the essentials here and other stuff. Okay, so let's go back in the manual, and we're gonna explore more in the manual later on. But again, this is the 3-character and animation feature set. So it's another package. Well, it's another page where you get packages to do that, and forums, so you can ask questions, related questions, and so on. And this is the 3D world building feature set. So when you need to do 3D, again, you usually want to have these packages to, for example, create terrains or do other stuff. And again, we have a package samples. So this one here is a terrain sample asset pack. So in this case, it's not a complete scene, it's not a complete game or complete application, but it contains stuff that you can use, which could be materials, effects, textures. These are the textures for the materials, and height maps or brushes and or displacements. And then you have props like leaves and trees and bushes, etc., etc. You can press play. You can also see a preview of the package and how you can use it. So they're going to give you a lot of information, also video that will explain a lot of this stuff. And then you can proceed here. There are others. This is AR, which means augmented reality. So you can create an augmented reality application or game. And these are, you can see now we are back into GitHub. So some stuff is going to be available in GitHub. Other will be available directly in the asset store. And perhaps you have other websites you can suggest in the comments or other sources. But I'm going to show you these two, which are, I think, are the most important ones. So directly from the manual, you can go in GitHub or in Asset Store and go and look for the, well, not packages, but more samples. So packages, you can see they're always, well, not always the same, but timeline, for example, is used for to create cinematic. So this is the cinematic studio feature set. And so there are some packages that you can use or that you can ignore. And another important thing to understand is when you use a template, in that template, you will find some of these packages already and ready to use, install and ready to use. Then you have mobile, you have uh, samples for mobile if you want to do this type of games, and then you have, well, just open up the various pages, and then you have the virtual reality feature set. So if you want to create virtual reality application, you can see here how to get started from scratch and how to configure and how to install packages for Oculus or other types of VR. And that's it. So the next step is to get started with Unity. So what we're going to do next is create our own scenes, our own scenarios, our own world, which we need to understand if we want to do 3D or orthographic 3D or 2D. So depending on what you want to do, you can follow the next steps here in the manual. I'm gonna go for the 3D game, but you can also continue with the 2D game development and so on. So 3D game are a little bit more complex because you need to create something that you need to explore in 3 dimensions. But well, let's go back here to Fontainebleau demo. Now it's ready. It's downloaded. It's mounted. So now it's cloned. So now I can just go back on the GitHub. I can go show in Explorer, and you will see all the stuff in here that has been downloaded, which is much more than when you download the simple zip. And if I go in the asset scenes demo, I can double click in the demo and continue here. So probably some things will need to be updated, but should work. So double click on the demo and it would open the Unity editor, Unity engine. And from there we can proceed. So after a while, it's opening and compiling the shaders. So it's compiling the materials, is building up the scenes starting from the packages that we have downloaded. So again, it's going to take some time. You need to be patient with these scenes, especially when they are big. And there you go. Now we are in. Okay, we need to do HDRP material upgrade. So wherever you see upgrade, just upgrade. Read the instruction if you want, but usually uh, because we are in a new version of Unity now, we need to kind of refresh certain things and make it adapted to the new Unity engine. And again, it's going to take another little bit of your time and not too much, as you can see. And okay, now it's telling me that there are deprecated packages. So meaning that it will not use that probably. So let's open and let's find more information in the package manager. So the package manager, we saw this before, and this is when you can manage all the packages and extra stuff that you can add or not. Well, that we'll just keep it like this, it doesn't matter. And we're gonna go here in the Fontainebleau menu. So this is where you can do some, where you can select some scene, and where you can do some um, selection, or select something. So just read through all of this stuff. I'm just gonna go in the scenes so you can have a good understanding on how to do that. So if we go into levels, so Discover is kind of more to explore, and levels is where you can go directly in the action. So you can open Fontainebleau basic, or you can open the day scene, the sunset scene, the night scene, or the photogrammetry kit. Now, photogrammetry is a technique to create 3D objects from pictures, from photos. And also we created a lot of guides about different photogrammetry application from Adobe, for example, or other types. So if you look in the channel, you can find them in the channel. So if we open up this again, it's kind of a let me make some space so we can see better. So essentially, this is a package of materials, realistic materials and texts created with photogrammetry. And if I want to know more, I can just go look at the properties or the inspector. And this is the material right here. So if I right click select, I can find it in the asset editor. So it's essentially an asset. And once you find it, you can just copy and paste it into another project. You can see how it's done. You can check the texture that have been used, which are in another folder. And again, you can also copy and paste those textures, which are, again, simply images that you can use. And also you can copy and paste mesh. So this mesh is a cylinder. So if I click here, I can find it again in the project panel, and I can see all the meshes that have been used, and I can change it with another mesh, for example, like this. So all these are in some folder in your project folder. So you can find them and copy them, paste them, you can export them, you can import them in other application, etc., etc. And there is another course actually in the previous Unity version which has a lot of features that are also available in this version right here. Okay, now that we open this is the general Fontainebleau demo. Now we can see it, we can move around, we can see all the different assets that have been used. And some of these needs to be, are still loading, and some of these are available. So let's press play, and you should see now the actual application, which is not actually a video game, it's more like an exploring application. We can go in the cinematic mode. Cinematics are those sequences that you just can watch. So they're like movies or TV series. You can just sit back, watch the animation, watch the camera moving, or characters or other objects moving, and that's it. You're kind of passive, in a passive state. But down here you have some buttons. If you click on those buttons, you can see you can change the environment. So this is a day scene, and then you have a sunset scene, and then you have a night scene. So you can switch between scenes thanks to the little application. So we do have some really little interaction. So interacting with uh, an app means that you can see you can turn on and off the lights, and when you do this, you are interacting. You're not passive anymore. You are in an active state. So this is what it's the extra mile that we do in Unity and Unreal Engine. We have interaction, we can interact. And also if we press in the navigation mode, we can navigate, we can move around. So the animation is not passive. So we can decide where to go, what to see, etc., etc. So this is what, it's a more immersive experience that this engine can give us. And also we have first person mode and third person mode. If you want to explore the various types, this is third person. You can see the blue head is because it's still loading some textures. So we just need to wait, still loading some objects and some textures. Once it's ready, we will see better, and that we will see the full character. So now we are using a character, and this now looks more like a video game. But we can also do a serious up using a more serious scenario or character. So this is the Fontainebleau demo, and now you can play a little bit, go around, see how things are made, and if you like something, you can, study it. You can just replicate. This is why we use demos. This is why we download samples and stuff to see how everything will need to be once we finish our scene. So we can take inspiration, we can select an asset, we can go in the properties or the expector, we can see how everything is structured in the hierarchy and how the parameters are set into the object, etc., etc. So it's a great learning resource that we definitely want to use. And I think this will be good enough for this lesson. I'm just going to continue here to select, explore, see again how everything is done. Also, if you look from a distance, you can see that the world it looks big, but instead it's a really small world. And this is kind of an illusion of the video games. And these are all techniques to optimize and don't make too heavy scenes and keep things, as light as possible, because it needs to run real time. When you run an interaction, you run it real time. So next, we're going to continue with the manual. We're going to continue building up the 3D scene. And that's it for this tutorial. If you enjoyed, subscribe or join if you want to thank us. See you in the next.